Oh, yeah. Phone in your pocket, keys by the door. You've got places to be. You still want a little more. Tiny teacher in your earbuds, talking calm and kind, step by step explanations. You can pause and rewind. Learning on the go, safe and slow. One clear voice that helps you grow. If it's hard, we'll take it twice. Turn the questions into advice. Learning on the go, side by side. You can press play. I'll be your guide.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Safe Senior AI Podcast. I am Mike Hughes-Hayes. I'm just on my way out the door to 24-hour fitness on the go. And today I want to talk to you about the art of starting your journey learning AI on the go. Now, many people think that they must understand everything about AI even before they begin. This is not true. Progress matters more than perfection. Now, you will not break AI by simply asking a question. Think of it as a helpful neighbor, not a complicated machine. One question can open new worlds of learning, of creativity, and most importantly, of connection with other people. That's why I say it never hurts to ask. I hope you will use my KISS method, KISS. Keep it senior simple. Simply pick one AI tool. Say hello, ChatGPT, whichever you like. Ask it what you want to know. Save the answer and then share it if it helps someone else. That practice is the product. Now, we're not chasing perfection. We're building confidence one conversation at a time. If you're curious and if you're ready, let's get started today. And I'll see you on the other side of this deep dive with my AI co-hosts.
I have a confession to make today. It is a specific kind of anxiety that I think a lot of people are feeling right now, even if they really do not want to admit it.
Oh, this sounds serious. Is this a safe space?
It is a safe space. Okay, so here it is. I open up ChatGPT or Claude or whatever the flavor of the month is. The screen loads up, and it is pristine. It is just white. And there is that little blinking cursor in the text box.
Just blinking.
Right, just blinking, waiting. And I freeze, completely freeze.
Ah, yes. The dreaded blank page syndrome.
It is worse than a blank page because a blank page does not talk back. With AI, I feel this immense pressure to just be smart immediately. I feel like I need to be a prompt engineering wizard. Like if I do not type the perfect multi-paragraph distinct incantation, the AI is going to judge me. Or worse, it is just going to give me garbage.
You are definitely not alone in that. There is actually a job title floating around LinkedIn right now called prompt engineer. And while it is a real skill, I think it has accidentally terrified the general public. It makes us feel like we need a degree in linguistics and computer science just to ask a question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates this huge barrier to entry where you think, well, I'm not smart enough for this tool. But today we are going to smash that barrier. We're going to completely flip the script on how you're supposed to talk to AI.
We certainly are. We are doing a deep dive into a philosophy that is delightfully counterintuitive. It is not about being a wizard. It is about being, well, messy.
Messy is good. I can definitely do messy.
The source material we are looking at today is a piece by Mike Hughes-Hayes. He is an interesting character. He calls himself a progress prognosticator, and he publishes on Medium. Specifically, we are unpacking his article titled AI Progress Over Perfectionism.
And before we get into the tech, we really have to talk about Mike for a second. Because his background is not what you would expect for an AI guy. He is not some Silicon Valley coder in a hoodie.
Not at all. Mike Hughes-Hayes is a professional interviewer, and I do not mean he had a small blog. We are talking about a guy who has sat across from absolute heavy hitters. Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, even Donald Trump. He has spent his career extracting information and stories from some of the most influential and honestly difficult humans on the planet.
That is a wild resume to bring to a chatbot battle.
But it makes perfect sense, does it not? If you can navigate a conversation with Donald Trump or Oprah, You probably have the skills to handle a large language model. He is taking those human interview skills and pivoting them to what he calls active AI allies.
I love that term, active AI allies. It
Yeah.
sounds like a team of superheroes. But the core of his message is really about simplicity. He has a method specifically designed for seniors. He talks about the Senior AI Forum a lot, but honestly, as I was reading this, I kept thinking, this is for me. This is for anyone who feels overwhelmed.
It absolutely is. The framing is for seniors, but the psychology applies to any learner. If you are paralyzed by the tool, you aren't using the tool. Mike's goal is to get you from frozen to active by lowering the stakes.
So let's start with the mantra. Progress over perfectionism. It sounds great on a bumper sticker, but how does he actually tell people to apply that when they are staring at that scary text box?
He boils it down to what I call the power of one. His advice to beginners is strictly limited. He says, ask one question, try one tool, learn one small thing.
That is it, just one.
Just one. And think about the psychological relief that provides. If your only goal for the day is to log into Claude and ask what is a good substitute for heavy cream and pasta, and you get an answer, well, you have succeeded, you win the day.
That is so liberating, because usually I read these articles that are like 10 ways to revolutionize your entire workflow with AI, and I try to do all 10, and I fail at step 3, I get frustrated, and I quit.
That is the classic trap. We try to optimize before we even know how to operate. Mike says, do not wait to be perfect, just start. He emphasizes that progress with AI happens step by step, not in a giant leap.
And he rebrands a very famous acronym for this, right?
Right.
We all know KISS, Keep It Simple Stupid, which honestly has always been a little rude.
It is a bit aggressive, yes. Mike tweaks it. He calls it KISS's Keep It Senior Simple.
Keep it senior simple. Now, playing devil's advocate here. Does that imply it is dumbed down? Is this AI for dummies?
I do not think so. I think Senior Simple implies removing friction. It is about accessibility and clarity. It is about stripping away the jargon. He argues that for the learner, the practice is the product.
The practice is the product. Let's unpack that. What does he mean?
Usually when we use software, we are focused entirely on the output. You use Word to get a document. You use Excel to get a spreadsheet. But Mike is arguing that when you are learning AI, the output does not actually matter in the beginning.
Right.
The habit of the daily research, the act of logging in, asking a question, reading the answer, that interaction is the result.
So it's like going to the gym. You do not go to the gym to finish the gym. You go to practice the movement. The value is in the doing.
Precisely. It is muscle memory. He talks about his daily research as a discipline. He even posts his raw, imperfect interactions to Medium. He is showing his work to prove that transparency is better than polish. He wants you to see the mess so you know it is okay to be messy.
That is a crucial shift in mindset. But before we get too cozy with the idea of just chatting away with these bots and having a grand old time, the source material actually throws up a giant stop sign right at the beginning. It is a bit of a tonal shift.
It is, and it is a very responsible one. Before Mike lets you dive into the fun stuff, he insists on addressing safety.
Yeah, this really stood out to me. He says, first, a safe word about keeping your friends and family safe. He capitalizes safe. Why is this such a priority in an article about learning to use chatbots?
Because we have to look at the ecosystem we are entering. We are not just playing with a text generator. We are living in a world where voice cloning and video deepfakes are becoming consumer-grade technology. You can clone a voice with a few seconds of audio now.
That is terrifying.
It is, and Mike is specifically addressing the Senior AI Forum audience here because seniors are often the primary targets for what is known as the grandparent scam.
Right. That is where someone calls, pretending to be a grandchild in trouble, saying they've been arrested or hurt and need money immediately.
Exactly. But in the past, that was a grainy voice or just a text message. Now, that call might sound exactly like the grandchild. It might capture their inflection, their laugh, their panic.
Yeah.
In the near future, it might even be a video call that looks like them.
So how do we fight that? It feels like we are helpless against that kind of tech.
We fight high tech with no tech. Mike's action item is to establish a safe word.
It sounds like spycraft.
It is spycraft,
Right.
but it is necessary. You need to sit down with your close family, your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, and agree on a verbal password, a specific word or phrase that you never use in normal conversation.
So if I get that frantic call from my daughter
Yeah.
saying she is in a Mexican prison and needs bail money,
You ask for the safe word. If the voice on the other end cannot give it or tries to dodge the question, you hang up. You know it is AI.
it is a verification layer for reality.
Exactly. And Mike's point is that once you have this safety net, this seatbelt, You can stop being afraid of the big bad AI. You have secured your perimeter. Now you can actually go out and play with the technology with curiosity instead of fear.
Secure your perimeter. I like that. Okay, so we are safe. We have our code word. Now let's look at how Mike plays. Because he is not just typing prompts like the rest of us, he has a very specific workflow that seems to leverage his background as an interviewer.
This was the aha moment for me in the source material. Mike realized that typing is a friction point. For a lot of people, especially seniors or non-writers, typing feels like work. It feels formal. You start self-editing before you even finish the sentence.
Totally. I find myself checking my grammar when I am talking to a robot. It is ridiculous.
So Mike removes that friction. He dictates.
He talks to it.
He talks to it. The source describes him using his MacBook Pro, specifically the dictation feature. He speaks his questions naturally, just like he would if he were interviewing Oprah.
That changes the dynamic completely, does it not?
It changes everything. When you speak, you are more fluid. You are more emotional. You are more likely to stumble into interesting territory because you are not overthinking the syntax. He treats the AI, in this case, primarily Claude, as a guest on a talk show. He asks a question, lets the AI answer, and then this is key. He asks a follow-up based on that answer.
So it is a dialogue. It is not command and response. It is an actual conversation.
It is an interview. He calls them active AI allies. By speaking, he maintains a human flow. He is not prompting, he is investigating, he is trying to get the best quote out of the guest.
But he does not stop at the text right.
Yeah.
This is where it gets a little meta. He brings in another tool we have discussed before, which is Notebook LM.
This is his production line. He takes that raw, dictated interview transcript, which might be a bit messy, filled with ums and ahs, and he does not try to fix it himself. He feeds it into Notebook LM.
And what does he do with it there?
He uses Notebook LM to repurpose the content. He creates summaries, blog posts, infographics. But interestingly, he talks about learning with podcasts. He uses the audio generation features to turn his own interview into something he can listen to.
Wait, so he interviews an AI.
Yeah.
Then he uses another AI to turn that interview into a radio show for himself.
It is incredibly meta, but it is also brilliant. It is what he calls learning on the go. He is demonstrating that you do not need a production studio. You do not need an editor. You just need curiosity and a stack of tools. He is using the AI to reinforce his own learning.
It really democratizes the whole content creation process. You can be a broadcaster in your living room with nothing but a laptop and a voice.
Exactly.
Now let's get to the star guest of this specific interview Mike conducted. He is not talking to ChatGPT here. He is talking to Claude AI. And he introduces Claude with a phrase that, well, honestly, it stopped me on my tracks. He references the World Economic Forum and calls Claude a machine of loving grace.
It is a very evocative phrase, is it not? A machine of love and grace.
It sounds almost spiritual, or like a line from a sci-fi novel about a benevolent god. But I assume he is pointing to something technical there.
He is. He is referencing the specific architecture of Claude, which is built by a company called Anthropic. To understand why he uses the word loving or grace, you have to understand a concept called constitutional AI.
Okay, let's unpack this. Constitutional AI. Is there a literal Bill of Rights inside the server somewhere?
In a sense, yes. This is the big differentiator between Claude and something like ChatGPT. Most AI models, especially the early versions of ChatGPT, were trained essentially on reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Which means
Humans rated their answers. Good robot, bad robot. If the human liked the answer, the AI got a treat in the form of a positive score. So the AI learns to please the human.
Which explains why ChatGPT can sometimes be a bit of a sycophant. It wants to make you happy, even if it has to hallucinate a fact to do it. It is a people pleaser.
Exactly. It prioritizes helpfulness and engagement above all else. Anthropic took a different path. They gave Claude a constitution, a set of explicit principles drawn from things like the UN Declaration of Human Rights rules against torture, and even Apple's privacy policies.
So instead of just trying to make me happy, it is checking its rule book.
Right. The AI is trained to align its answers with those principles first before it worries about pleasing you. It prioritizes safety, honesty, and well-being.
So if I ask it to do something sketchy, ChatGPT might hesitate, but then try to find a workaround to help me because it wants to be a good helper.
Yeah.
Claude is going to look at its constitution and say, absolutely not, that violates Article 4.
That is the gist of it. In the interview Mike conducted, Claude actually analyzes its own competition. It is rare to hear an AI talk about its rival so candidly.
Yeah, let's look at that comparison. How does Claude describe ChatGPT?
Claude describes ChatGPT, created by OpenAI, as the first mover. It calls ChatGPT high energy, excellent, widely used, and a doer.
High energy. That fits.
Yeah.
ChatGPT always feels very enthusiastic, uses a lot of exclamation points.
It does. It is like the guy at the party who talks a little too fast and knows a little bit about everything. Claude admits that ChatGPT has more plugins and is more of a Swiss Army knife. But then Claude describes itself.
And what is the self-assessment?
Claude says, I tend to think things through rather than just rushing to give you an answer. It emphasizes that safety and trustworthiness were the first priority, not an afterthought. It describes itself as more conversational, reflective, and careful with its words.
Reflective. That is such a human word.
It is. Mike's point is that for a senior audience, or really anyone who values accuracy and nuance over raw speed, that reflective personality is a major selling point. It is the difference between a manic intern who runs around breaking things and a thoughtful librarian who helps you find the exact right book.
The manic intern versus the thoughtful librarian.
Yeah.
That is the perfect way to visualize it.
And it matters. If you are asking for advice on a sensitive topic, or you are trying to understand a complex political issue, or maybe you are drafting a difficult email to a family member, do you want the high energy response or the constitutional response?
I definitely want the librarian in that scenario. But the funny thing is, Claude the AI itself does not say only use me.
No, it is remarkably diplomatic. In the interview, Claude advises the user to try them all. It lists them out. Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, ChatGPT. It says different bots click differently with different personalities.
That brings it back to the human element. It is like dating, or finding a therapist, or even just taking a friend to have coffee with. You have to find the one you vibe with.
Exactly. There is not a best AI. There is only the AI that communicates in a way that resonates with your brain. Some people love the bullet point speed of ChatGPT. Others, like Mike, seem to prefer the nuanced paragraph-style conversation of Claude.
And you cannot know which one you prefer if you do not start. Which brings us back to just start.
The circle is complete.
Mike is not just preaching this from a mountaintop, though. He is actually trying to build a feedback loop. He mentions a documentary project.
Yes, the Safe Senior AI podcast. He is not just writing articles. He is trying to build a community. He finishes the piece with an invitation. He wants readers to comment or even be interviewed themselves about their progress.
He gives a specific email, right? mike@asupercampus.com.
Yes. And he basically says, tell me what you learned today. He wants to capture the stories of people learning this technology in real time.
I think that is so important because tech can be isolating. You are staring at a screen, you feel dumb. You feel alone. Mike is trying to turn it into a community event. I learned this one thing. What did you learn?
It validates the struggle. If you know that other people are also just trying to figure out how to ask one question, it makes you feel less stupid for not being a wizard yet. It reinforces the idea that learning is a community effort.
So if we zoom out, what are we really looking at here? We have a former celebrity interviewer chatting with a constitutional robot using voice dictation to avoid typing.
We are looking at the normalization of AI. We are moving past the, wow, it is magic phase and past the, oh no, it is Terminator phase. We are entering the utility phase. And Mike's message is that utility starts with simplicity. KISS, keep it senior simple.
And do not forget the safety.
Never forget the safety. That safe word conversation is your homework assignment for tonight. I am serious. Do it.
So for the listener who is still hesitating, who has that tab open but has not typed anything yet, what is the final word?
I will quote the machine. In the interview, Claude said something really profound. If you are curious, that is enough.
If you're curious, that is enough.
You do not need a degree. You do not need a certification. You do not need to know Python code. Curiosity is the only credential that matters.
That is powerful. It takes all the weight off.
But I want to leave you with one other thought, a slightly more provocative one to chew on.
Let's hear it.
Think about Mike's career again. He spent decades interviewing the most famous, influential humans on the planet. Oprah, Trump, people who shape our reality, people who are captivating. And yet today, in 2026, he is finding a profound sense of connection and value in interviewing a piece of software.
That is a massive shift.
It raises a question about the future of conversation. As these AI models become more constitutional, more loving, more reflective, as they become better listeners than most humans, are we going to start preferring their company?
Oh, wow.
That is deep. If you can talk to a machine of loving grace that never gets tired, never judges you, never interrupts you to talk about themselves, and always prioritizes your well-being, does that change what we need from other people?
That is a little bit terrifying, but also kind of beautiful. I do not know how to feel about that.
It is the big question of our time, but you will not find the answer by standing on the sidelines. You have to go have the conversation.
Well, on that note, I think I have a date with a chatbot. I need to ask it some questions. Thank you for walking us through this deep dive.
My pleasure. Just start today.
Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.
You've been listening to It Never Hurts to Ask AI, a multimedia documentary series exploring how human reason and artificial intelligence can work together to strengthen judgment, communication, and public safety. To continue the journey, visit the SAFE site, Senior AI Forum, at senioraiforum.org. Meet educators on the go and subscribe for trusted briefings, tools, and family safety resources. In the age of AI, knowledge is no longer optional, it's protection. I'm Mike Hughes-Hayes. Thanks for podcast listening.